So we're gonna have another dating with boobie. This one is gonna talk about time. Now, how does time correlate with dating? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. I think a lot of our time, if you want to find the right person, we have to be right with ourselves, right? But there's also a building phase in that aspect, right? I would say for boys going into men, going into this whole dating world, between the ages of 18 to 30, 34, that's when you should be establishing yourself to create the foundation for your family, the structure, right? I don't think for a boy growing into a man, you should really be focused on marriage until you got yourself together. Until you got yourself together. I don't think you should be focused on having kids until you have yourself together. Essentially, life happens. You know, oopsies happen. My baby was an oopsie, but I was lucky enough to have at least enough of my life figured out, so I don't have to worry about putting my daughter in a bad position. But I do feel like for men, in order to have some type of structure and to have at least a foot to stand on, you have to be established in yourself. Not only does it attract a better quality woman, what it does is it gives you a more stable household. It gives you more of a sense of duty, rather than not being established and then your household has no structure, right? How can you raise a family if you can't feed your child? How can you raise a family if you don't even have the bare necessities to navigate through this world and take care of your responsibilities as a father? Now, when you become a father, it's not about you anymore. It becomes about your kid or kids and your wife and your family. So you have to make sure you're in the best position to meet those requirements. And as a woman, I feel like her time to sit there and work on herself is between the ages of 18 to maybe 29, 30, right? And what I mean by that is stay in shape, keep your chastity, work on your skill sets of how to take care of a man, be prepared to take care of a man and to be that helpmate for a man. Don't let the world make you bitter. By the time you hit 30, no man wants you because you already have 4 or 5 kids. You know, you already ran through the whole neighborhood. Your reputation is shot. You gain a little weight, and like a little weight. I'm talking about 200-300 pounds. You know, because now you kind of devalued yourself. You know, I tell people all the time, men are judged by how high they climb to the top of the mountain, and women are judged by how far they fall from the top of the mountain, right? Now, a woman has her highest value at her youngest years. The decisions that she makes in her life decrease her value, right? Let's say this girl just turned 21. You have fertility, you have your beauty, you know, you have all these things that you can offer a man. Peace, you know, things like that. Now, when you get older, right, now your chances of actually giving a baby decreases. When you go through more bodies, now that respect factor where men would value you decreases. Now that you're in certain positions and you accumulated a certain amount of bodies, a certain amount of kids, those same options that you thought you had before you did all of that no longer exist. And now for a man, you don't have no value until you acquired a certain status and stability within yourself. When we first turned 18, no girl wants to date us. The girls our age who are 18 are dating the 34-year-olds, the 35-year-olds, the one that have their life together. Right? So, you know, we're not looked at, we're invisible until we actually obtain these things. Where women can say, okay, I feel stable with this man's hard work, so now I feel like he can lead me. Which goes into my next point, which is kind of funny, right? When I mentioned that the girls who are 18, like if a guy's 18 and the girl's 18, the girl would go for that older guy because they find stability until that girl is actually older herself and then shun the guy for going for that younger girl when she was that younger girl. And I would like to contribute that to women are mad at the options that they can't attract no more. The older women start demonizing the men for going for younger women, but they never demonized that man when that younger woman was going after the older men, because they don't have those options no more. So I feel like, well, for women, You should work on yourselves, work on learning how to take care of a man so you can acquire a good man between your early 20s to 30s, to maybe 30, even 32, 34, right? Because that's where your prime is at. You know, that's where your prime is at. The older you get is the less attractive you are to men. I mean, a lot of women be like, I'm fine, I'm 35, I still look good. But what that man sees is she's running out of time. She cannot produce family. That woman comes with baggage. She comes with a certain mentality. That woman comes with multiple kids. You know, that woman comes with her trauma. So the older a woman gets, now we can associate more issues with that age. She's combative. She's stuck in her ways. She's not going to be submissive after her second marriage. Now she doesn't want to do the same things she did in the first marriage. So the older a woman gets, the harder it is for them to find a decent man. And I speak to older women too, because I'm doing the spectrum on all across the board. And a lot of older women complain. I'm not even going to say complain. They address the issue that it is hard to find a decent man the older they get. And after a while, you cannot attract the older women attract younger boys, the younger men. You know why? Because the younger men just want to have fun. The older men want to take dating more seriously, but the older men are looking for the younger women. The younger women are looking for the older men. So it seems like it's a match. But the older men are not looking for the older woman. If you had a choice, strategically, if I had a choice, and I could go for this 46-year-old woman that comes with 2 kids, who's been married twice, that has accumulated 30, 40, 50 bodies. Or I can go for this 25-year-old who's submissive, who's fun, who can give me a brand new life with no kids, no trauma, and I could just focus on being the best man I can be so we can grow. I'm choosing the younger woman. I'm choosing the younger woman. A lot of older women will be like, well, I'm established. You don't have to take care of me. Men don't care about your money, because a woman's money is her money and a man's money is that woman's money. So there's nothing that we benefit from you doing and you being an adult. You're being an adult. So age has a big factor. And for the men too, if you don't establish yourself at a certain age, you're not going to attract what you're looking for. Because no woman's going to feel stable with a man that's living with his mom. No woman's going to be stable with a man who has multiple kids or multiple different mamas, the baby mamas. No woman's going to feel stable in an environment that you have created for yourself, unless you have created a healthy environment for that woman to feel safe in. That's just a fact. That's just a fact. So I would say age is an important factor. There is an equilibrium from my perspective. Right? The equilibrium for me is in your 30s. Right? Even though for a man to be in his 30s, he should be somewhat close to established enough to hopefully maintain. And in a woman's 30s, she's already experienced life. Hopefully life has not tainted her and fucked her up in that sense. Small percentage. But the majority of life hopefully would have established its presence inside that person. So I think that's the equilibrium, 30s. 2 people in their 30s is the best time to actually date. Because that's maturity. Even though for a woman, younger is always better, just not too young. That's not too young. That's called 530. 5 minutes of pleasure will give you 30 years in jail. Stay away from any woman who's not 18 or over. No, stay away from any woman who's not 21 and over. Because the 18-year-olds, they'll give you problems too. And that was another thing that I was talking about on a podcast with another girl that I just brought that was over. I was like, what is the age range? And I had to ask myself the same question. I'm not going to ask a question without giving myself the same standard. She said the younger boys don't have their life together. All they want is sex. And then the older men, they got it all fucked up too. And then I had to ask myself, right? I was like, what do I want? I've dated younger women. I dated women 21, 22. All they want to do is party. All they want to do is party, drink, smoke, shake that ass. All right? And that's cool. But for me, I'm already established. I don't have time to be going out there running these streets every day. But I've also dated older women. Older women are stuck in their ways. Older women come with more baggage. Older women are more combative. Older women come with their own set of issues a lot of the time. And I'm not going to say all women. I'm not going to say all women on both spectrums, but I'm going to say a majority of. So I would say, personally, for me, my plateau would be my 30s. A woman in her 30s, high 29, 28, 27. That would be ideal. So, dating a boobie, age. Age is a factor in dating. Thank you again for all the support. Like, share, subscribe. So far, we're a little over 3,000 views and subscribers are increasing. Thank you. Feel free to share your perspective. Feel free to hit me up personally if you want to be on the podcast. Whether you agree or you don't agree, it's always good to have a discussion to see things from different perspectives. So thank you again for tuning into another episode of Dating with Boobie.